Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel CMA Club. Myself Vaibhavi Thakur, and today I'm going to start with the fourth lecture of Sale of Goods Act 1930. So in the last class we have completed the exceptions of doctrine of caveat emptor. Now we are starting with the performance of contract of sale. The performance of contract of sale involves the following things. So this must be the performance while there is a contract. The first one is payment and delivery are concurrent conditions. Next is delivery, buyer's right of examining the goods, acceptance of goods, and buyer's liability. Payment and delivery are concurrent conditions. The first point. Section 32 provides that the delivery of the goods and the payment of the price are concurrent conditions unless and otherwise agreed. So, as soon as the delivery has taken place, it is the duty of the buyer to make the payment. The seller shall be ready and willing to give possession of the goods to the buyer in exchange for the price. So, this takes place only when the seller is ready to give the possession of goods to the buyer. And buyer shall be ready and willing to pay the price in exchange for the possession of goods. And buyer is ready to pay the price for that goods. Next is delivery. Section 33 provides that the delivery of goods sold may be made by doing anything which the parties agree. So, how the delivery will be done, that will be agreed between the parties, which has the effect of putting the goods in possession of the buyer or of any person authorized to hold them on his behalf, or any other mode of delivery where the buyer will get the possession of goods. And if buyer is not there, then any other person who is authorized to hold those goods on his behalf. Part delivery. Now the part delivery section 34 deals with the effect of part of delivery. A delivery of part of goods in progress of delivery of the whole has same effect as a delivery of whole for the purpose of passing the property in such goods. If a delivery of a part of goods is done with an intention of serving it from the whole, then it does not operate as a delivery of the remainder. So here part delivery means only the part of goods is delivered to the buyer, but it will be considered as a whole delivery because there is a possession of goods. Rules as to the delivery. Now these are the rules to be followed for the delivery. Apart from any contract, goods sold are to be delivered. So whatever the goods are sold, it must be delivered at a place at which they are at a time of the sale. So these are delivered at a place where they were at a time of sale. Goods agreed to be sold are to be delivered at a place at which they are at a time of agreement to sell, or if not in existence, at a place at which they are manufactured or produced. So goods are delivered from the place where they were at a time of sale, or they were at a time of agreement of sale. And if there is not any existence of goods, they are future goods, then wherever the goods are to be manufactured or produced, from there the delivery must take place. Where under the contract of sale the seller is bound to send the goods to the buyer, but no time for sending them is fixed. The seller is bound to send them with a reasonable time. So here the seller have to make the delivery and send the goods to the buyer, but the time is not fixed, that during which time or the duration of the delivery has not been fixed. Then the seller is bound to send them within a reasonable time. Where the goods at a time of sale are in possession of a third person, there is no delivery by the seller to buyer unless and until such third person acknowledges to the buyer that he holds the goods on his behalf. Where the seller where the goods at a time of sale are in possession of a third person. So at the time of sale the goods are with the third person, there is no delivery by the seller to the buyer unless and until such third person acknowledges to the buyer that he holds the goods on his behalf. So, delivery will not take place until the third person will say to the buyer that goods are with him on behalf of the seller. This shall not affect the operation of the issue or transfer of any document of title to the goods. Demand or tender of delivery may be treated as ineffectual unless made at a reasonable hour. So, if a delivery is not made at a reasonable hour, it will be ineffectual. Unless and otherwise agreed, the expenses of an incidental to putting the goods into a deliverable state shall be borne by the seller. Next is delivery of the wrong quantity. What if the wrong quantity is delivered to the buyer? Section 37 subsection 1 provides that where the seller delivers to the buyer a quantity of goods less than the contracted to sell, the buyer may reject them. So if the seller delivers the goods in less quantity than it was there in contract of sale, then the buyer has the right to reject those goods. If the buyer accepts the goods so delivered, he shall pay for them at the contract rate. So if he accepts the goods which are delivered, then he have to pay the price for those goods. Section 37 subsection 2 provides that where the seller delivers to the buyer a quantity of goods larger than the contracted to sell, the buyer may accept the goods included in the contract and reject the rest. So, if the goods are delivered in more quantity than it was decided, then buyer can accept those goods which were there in the contract, and the rest one he can reject, or he can accept, or he may reject the whole. Either he can reject only those parts which are extra, or he can reject the whole goods. If the buyer accepts the whole of the goods delivered, he shall pay them at a contract rate. So if he accepts the extra one and the contracted one, then he have to pay for those goods. Section 37 subsection 3 provides that where the seller delivers to the buyer the goods he contracted to sell mixed with the goods of a different description not included in the contract. So the seller will deliver those goods which are not included in the contract and which are of a different description. The buyer may accept the goods which are in accordance with the contract and reject the rest. So what the buyer can do is, whatever the description is given for the goods in the contract which the buyer wanted to buy, he can accept those goods and reject the other one, or may reject the whole. Section 37 subsection 4 provides that provision of this section are subject to any usage of trade, special agreement or course of dealing between the parties. So it will be by usage of trade, special agreement for that, or any course of dealing between the parties. So parties will deal with these things and decide according to that. Installment deliveries. Section 38(1) subsection 1 provides that a buyer of goods is not bound to accept the delivery of goods by installment unless and otherwise agreed between both the parties. So unless between both the parties it is agreed that the delivery will be taken place at installment, buyer cannot accept those goods. Section 38 subsection 2 provides that where there is a contract for the sale of goods to be delivered by the stated installments which are to be separately paid for, and the seller makes no delivery or defective delivery in respect of one or more installments, or the buyer neglects or refuses to take the delivery or pay for one or more installments. So here, so if the sale of goods is delivered in the installments, delivered by stated installments which are to be separately paid. So the goods are delivered in installments and the payment will be separately as per the installments. but the seller makes no delivery. So seller will not make any delivery, or he makes defective delivery in respect of one or more installments. So if he makes defective delivery in one installment or two installment, etc., and that it may happen that the buyer neglects or refuses to take delivery. Buyer says, I don't want to take this installment, or he don't pay the price for those installment. Then it is a question in each case depending on the terms of the contract. So it will depend on the terms of the contract and the circumstances of the case. 2. Whether the breach of contract is a repudiation of the whole contract, or where it is a severable breach giving rise to claim for the compensation. So is it a repudiation of a contract, means an end to the whole contract, or it is considered as a breach and the person can claim for the compensation? It will depend on the terms of the contract and the circumstances of the case. But do not treat the whole contract or as repudiated. But it will not be treated as a repudiated contract until it is decided whether it is a repudiation or it is a breach which can be claimed for the compensation. Next, deliver to carrier or wharfinger. Section 39 subsection 1 provides that if the seller is authorized or required to send the goods to the buyer through a carrier, whether it is named by the buyer or not, or delivery of the goods to a wharfinger for the safe custody, the delivery of goods to such a carrier or wharfinger shall be deemed to be a delivery of the goods to the buyer. So if there is a condition or the seller is required or authorized to make the delivery through the carrier, whether it is named by the buyer or not, delivery of goods to the wharfinger for safe custody. So here, if the seller have to make the delivery through the carrier, whether it is whether the buyer says it or not, or the delivery of goods to a wharfinger, so he have to make delivery to the wharfinger for safe custody, it will be considered as the delivery will be taken to the wharfinger, but it will be considered as the goods are sent to the buyer. Section 39 subsection 2 provides that the seller shall make a contract with a carrier or wharfinger on behalf of a buyer. So seller can make the contract with a carrier or wharfinger on behalf of buyer, having regard to nature of goods and other circumstances of the case. So he needs to check the nature of goods and other circumstances, and the seller can make a contract with the wharfinger or a carrier. If the seller omits so to do and the goods are lost or damaged in the course of transit or whilst in the custody of the wharfinger, so if the seller omits to do this and the goods are lost or the goods are damaged in the course of transit, then the buyer may decline to treat the delivery to the carrier or wharfinger as a delivery to himself. So what buyer can do is he can decline that this delivery is not my delivery, may hold the seller responsible for the damages. Or what he can do is the buyer can make the seller responsible for the damages. Section 39 subsection 3 provides that where the goods are sent by the seller to the buyer by a route involving a sea transit in a circumstances which it is usual to ensure, the seller shall give such a notice to the buyer as may enable him to insure them during their sea transit. If the seller fails to so to do, the goods shall be deemed to be at a risk during such sea transit. So if the delivery is a route of involving a sea, and in that circumstances the seller shall give notice to the buyer and insure him during their sea transit. So, if there is a delivery through sea, then the seller shall give to the buyer a notice regarding the sea transit. And if the seller fails to do, goods shall be deemed to be at a risk during such sea transit. So, goods will be at a risk to the seller if he fails to do so. Delivery of goods at a distance place. Section 40 provides that where the seller of goods agrees to deliver them at his own risk at a place other than that where they were when sold, the buyer shall nevertheless, unless otherwise agreed, take any risk of deterioration in the goods necessarily incident to the course of transit. So, if the goods are to be delivered at a distance place, at a far away place, and seller sells the goods forcibly, then what will happen? The buyer will not take any risk for the deterioration of goods necessarily incident to the course of transit. Next, buyer's right of examining the goods. According to section 41, the buyer is having a right to examine the goods which have not been examined by him previously before acceptance. So before accepting the goods, the buyer has not examined the goods, then he have the right to examine the goods. Examination of goods by the buyer is for the purpose of ascertaining whether they are in conformity with the contract. So buyer will examine the goods. Why? Because to make the conformity with the contract. The seller is also bound to afford an opportunity to the buyer for examining the goods for the purpose of ascertaining whether they are in conformity with the contract. So the seller has to give the right to buyer for examining the goods. Next is acceptance. Section 42 provides that the buyer is deemed to have accepted the goods when he intimated to the seller that he has accepted to them. So if the buyer says, yes, I have accepted the goods, then the goods are said to be accepted. Where the goods have been delivered to him, where the goods are delivered to the buyer, and he does any act in relation to them which is inconsistent with ownership of the seller. So if he acts in such a way that he shows that the goods are in possession with the buyer and not with the seller, when after the lapse of a reasonable time, he retains the goods without intimating to the seller that he has rejected him. So if he does not say or intimate to the seller that he has rejected the goods and the time has elapsed, then it is said that the goods are accepted by the buyer. Return of rejected goods. Section 43 provides that where the goods are delivered to the buyer and he refuses to accept them, the buyer is not bound to return them to the seller. It is sufficient if he intimates to the seller that he refuses to accept him. So if the goods are delivered to the buyer and then he refuses to accept those goods, then he cannot return the goods to the seller. Liability of the buyer. Section 44 provides that where the seller is ready and willing to deliver the goods and requests the buyer to take the delivery, and the buyer does not within a reasonable time take the delivery of the goods, he is liable to the seller any loss occasioned by his neglect or refusal to take the delivery. So the seller is ready to make the delivery of the goods and he requests to the buyer that please take the delivery, but even then the buyer does not take the delivery in a reasonable time, then the buyer will be liable to the seller for any loss which he has incurred due to neglect and refusal to take the delivery. The rights of the seller shall not be affected by this section when neglect or refusal of the buyer to take the delivery amounts to repudiation of contract. So, If there is a repudiation of contract, then the right of seller is not affected by this section. So I will keep till this much for this class. We will start with the right of unpaid vendor or the unpaid seller in the next class. If you like my video, please subscribe to my channel, press the bell icon for the updated videos and share it with your friends.